There's a monumental shift happening in healthcare right now, one that promises to rewrite the rules for, well, pretty much everything, from a routine checkup to the fight against cancer. And I'm talking about artificial intelligence. And believe me, this isn't science fiction anymore. So let's explore how this revolution is unfolding, starting with the problem it's trying to solve.
But to really get why this revolution is so critical, we first have to look at the very real, very human cost of our current system's limitations. We're talking about a system that is just stretched to its absolute breaking point.
All right, take a look at this number, 64%. It's a shocking statistic that really sets the stage for the entire problem we're facing. So, what do you think that represents?
Okay, so that 64%, that's the number of patients with metastatic lung cancer who get the wrong therapy. Nearly 2/3. And look, this isn't because we have bad doctors, not at all. It's because the system is completely overwhelmed by an explosion of new information, and that leads to some truly tragic outcomes.
And this quote, man, this just brings the personal cost of it all into sharp focus. Patient advocate Kristen Dahlgren shared this heartbreaking story about her own father. His tumor wasn't genetically sequenced until it was way too late. This is the heartbreaking reality of what happens when the right information doesn't get to the right clinician at the right time.
So, what's behind all this? What's driving this crisis? Well, we're dealing with an information overload of historic proportions. Think about it like this. Back in the day, it took something like 17 years for new medical knowledge to really make its way through the community. Now, the doubling time of medical knowledge is, get this, just 72 days. It is literally impossible for any single human to keep up. It's like trying to drink from a fire hose.
And you know, that's exactly where technology is finally stepping in. AI is now entering the exam room. And the key here is it's not about replacing clinicians. It's about augmenting them, giving them superpowers, really, to help manage all this complexity and give them back the time to just focus on their patients.
And what this has done is kick off this incredible AI arms race between the two titans of electronic health records, Oracle Health and Epic. I mean, these two companies basically are the market, so the fact that they're in a race to build these AI tools, that's a huge deal for the future of healthcare. Both of them are laser-focused on solving clinician burnout and fundamentally improving the quality of care.
So if we break it down a little, you can see both companies are building these smart assistants, but they're taking slightly different paths. Oracle's really focused on a voice-first, mobile experience for what's called ambient documentation. Meanwhile, Epic is going deep with its Microsoft partnership to deploy things like DAX Copilot and tools that can draft patient messages for doctors. But at the end of the day, their goal is exactly the same: less clicking, more caring.
Okay, but this whole AI revolution is not just happening in the doctor's office. Let's zoom out for a second and look at how this is completely rewriting the rules for research and how we discover new treatments.
You have major players like Oracle talking about this bench-to-bedside vision. And the whole idea here is to finally close this massive gap that's always existed between the lab, the bench, and actual patient care at the bedside by unifying all this data and breaking down the silos that have held back innovation for decades.
And this new way of thinking is making some truly mind-blowing things possible. I'm talking about personalized cancer vaccines. So here's how it works. Step 1. They use AI to map out a tumor's unique genetic blueprint. Then, for step 2, they pinpoint the specific markers on those cancer cells. And finally, step 3, they create a vaccine that basically teaches a patient's own immune system how to go hunt down and destroy its specific cancer.
I mean, think about that. We're seeing this bring real hope to situations that were, well, pretty hopeless before. In diseases that were basically a death sentence, like pancreatic cancer and the brain cancer glioblastoma, these personalized AI-powered therapies are giving patients a real shot. This isn't science fiction anymore. This is becoming a clinical reality right now.
Okay, so with all this incredible promise, there's obviously a massive challenge, right? How on earth do we regulate this powerful new tech to make sure it's safe and that it actually works?
And this leads us to something called the AI duality. It's this constant tug of war that basically every government is dealing with right now. How do you push for innovation and lead the world in AI while also making sure you're protecting patients and keeping public trust?
So, over in Europe, the EU is going big with its AI Act. We're talking a massive, sweeping law, and it's probably going to classify a lot of these life sciences AI tools as high risk, which means a ton of oversight.
The US, on the other hand, is taking a totally different route. It's much more piecemeal, more agency-led.
Instead of one giant law, it's relying on executive orders and rules for specific sectors, like healthcare.
And of course, it's not just the EU and the US. You've got major players like China, Japan, and India, all creating their own frameworks. You end up with this really complex global patchwork of rules. And if you're an innovator, you somehow have to navigate all of it.
So, if you're one of these companies, what do? You can't just sit around and wait for all the rules to be written. It's all about being proactive. That means you have to watch what's happening globally, and you've got to build your AI systems so they're transparent and auditable. You need to be able to explain how they work, and you have to engage with regulators from the jump to build that trust.
So, where is all this headed? What does medicine even look like when you combine this kind of revolutionary tech with a whole new mindset of collaboration?
I love this quote from Thomas Lahr, the CEO of DNXis. He says, "We're entering an era of programmable therapies." So think back to those personalized cancer vaccines for a sec. Now, imagine taking it a step further. Imagine using AI not just to find targets, but to literally design new biological functions from scratch, and then using something like CRISPR to program them right into our cells.
And believe it or not, a blueprint for this future is already being built. It's happening with platforms like Poseidon, which is a partnership between City of Hope and DNXis. What they're doing is combining all that clinical data from health records with a patient's own genomic data. And by putting it all together, they've created this incredibly powerful ecosystem that's just massively speeding up research and discovery.
And this really shows you the end game here. The goal is one single unified platform that connects every single stage of a drug's life, from the initial research to clinical trials, all the way to manufacturing and tracking how it works in the real world. It's about finally tearing down all those silos that have slowed down progress for decades.
So this new way of thinking, integrated, AI-powered, it's fundamentally changing the fight against our oldest enemies. You hear it from people like Dr. Harlan Levine at City of Hope, who says about cancer, we're going to turn it into a chronic disease. I mean, the momentum is it's real and it's building fast.
And that really leaves us with one final and pretty profound question to think about. Okay, so we're on the verge of turning cancer into a manageable chronic disease, right? But what comes after that? What happens when this very same technology helps us get ahead of it and maybe even prevent it from happening in the first place?